Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an all-new video. Today, we are attempting to make Lewis Hamilton an 8-time Formula 1 World Champion inside F1 23, but that comes with a twist. A new short format race style, and I'm racing in cockpit camera. Will it go well? Will I crash? Will Bottle Job 212 strike again? Get yourself subscribed. Today we're racing at this venue on your screens, and let's get into qualifying.
Well, here we are then, one-shot qualifying from the Azerbaijan GP, and in the rain nonetheless then. This is going to be a really difficult lap to try and get hooked up here. The AI very strong here in Baku, and that is accentuated in the damp conditions there. Championship points though up on your screen. You can see that lead that Sergio Perez built up in the opening couple of rounds has completely evaporated there. We're still in P6 overall, 25 points to our name, so not an awful start to the season, but certainly was hoping we could be doing a little bit better than we have been so far. But yeah, Baku though, often, you know, it is a sprint weekend. There are two opportunities to score some points, but yeah, this place really tough. Especially in qualifying, feels like a bit of damage limitation over the one run there is all. We get very squirrely down at turn 8. Can we try and navigate our way through the castle? Feels even more narrow in the cockpit cameras. We just second guess our way right the way through, but now as we make our way out onto the old town, still very scary here. Charles Leclerc looking quick at the front of the field. Just make sure we get the car nice and square as we break down the hill. But yeah, taking it a little bit too easy. I think that's our round. One more real corner to go of our qualifying lap. Then you can see we are quite a long way behind Charlie Boy. But out of the final turn then, we've got to be brave through this very fast final chicane. Shouldn't have to lift. Oh, a slight blend there as I just got a little bit scared of that outside wall approaching. But now we've just got the agonizing weight as we make our way up towards the start-finish line. I pressed the brake rather than the DRS, and we don't even have DRS enabled. That's been an utter disaster there to end off, and we are P13 on the grid. Well, an absolute nightmare to finish off my qualifying run. We should have been up, I think, with Alexander Albon at the end of qualifying. But yeah, it's P13 then, ready for the sprint race. Luckily, we've got a bit of a chance to recover some places before we get into the main event itself.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Russell, Verstappen, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Stroll, Gasly, Lewis, Bottas, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Joe, Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
Okay, we've got that relief of having points on the board finally, so let's keep that form up and get another top 10 finish today, please.
Well, here we are then for one of the shortest races we will ever do inside F1 23. 6-lap sprint races because obviously of these shortened 35% races. But I am looking forward to this. We're going to start on the softs. Looks like most drivers have around me 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out and away we go there. Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll just in front of me as we'll get a better start than Pierre, but nowhere to go on the run down in towards someone. Then look at Albon going 3 wide momentarily with the McLarens there as well, trying to look down the inside of Formula 1's fastest and only Canadian. Don't think we made contact there with Lance Stroll. I think I just heard him understeer slightly towards the wall. But yeah, decent start then here in Baku. Already up into 11th place, although that immediately is coming under threat by Lance once more. We should be able to hook it up right around the outside, though. So 2 places gained off the start of the GP. Looks like there was no movement at the front of the field, though. Still, both Ferraris, George, and then both Red Bulls there. As, yeah, surprised. Neither Red Bull able to get inside the top 3. But yeah, let's just try and settle down into a rhythm then. Points are right there with Oscar Piastri, so we definitely can keep up our point scoring streak. The pace certainly does seem to have amped up then on lap 1. Fernando Alonso trying to make gains on Alexander Albon just in front of him. But yeah, it is Charles Leclerc then that leads the way at the front of the field. That Alpine, though, of Esteban Ocon could be real useful today if they can keep those McLarens back for just a few laps. Might try and see if we can get a run then on Fernando Alonso out of the final couple of turns. AI went very aggressive on their ERS on lap 1, so I think they're already having to start saving just a little bit here. But look at that, 205 miles an hour up towards the red line. Looks like our top 3 have broken away, though. The Red Bulls, yeah, really are struggling for pace. DRS now enabled, though, as we try to avoid the wall through turn 1. Now I expect the craziness to ensue.
We're increasing our gap on the car behind by around a second a lap.
Well, let's see then which car is the fastest down the straights then. Trying to tuck back into the wheel tracks behind Fernando Alonso. But it looks like everyone in front is just locked into this DRS train at the moment. 212 miles an hour on the run back into this first corner. But unless someone makes a mistake in this group, we don't seem to be able to find any kind of avenue. We're just stuck. A bit like Lewis found in Imola 2022. Oh, here we go. Looks like Lando Norris might have opened up the floodgates then. He's got around Esteban Ocon. And I don't think the Frenchman is going to be within a second of the McLaren driver as we make our way out of the final chicane once again. So are we now going to see Piastri try and get a run? I've had to go even more aggressive. We've really got to try and use the battery at the moment. Can we get a run on Fernando Alonso to make our way back down towards turn 1 there? The Spaniard going right down towards the pit wall. Almost into the back of Alexander Albon there. And we will have to abort that attempt. And we were lucky to keep it out of the wall. Well, as is the pace of this Mercedes at the moment, it has not taken us long before we're immediately back in the range of Alonso and Albon once again. However, Alex Albon might this time round have just lost the DRS to Oscar Piastri in front of him. We're just dropping back slightly. Are we going to see Alonso go for it? Yes, we are. Albon defensive on the run. Back down in towards turn 1. Albon will get his elbows out there, but Fernando Alonso around the outside. Will we find a way to capitalise on this? As it looks like Piastri and Ocon are still fighting in front there, as Albon will just get a little bit caught out on the apex of turn 2. Can we go around the outside of the Williams car here? Fernando Alonso looks to be trying to box us in there, as Albon will try and keep the nose up the inside there. We will go around the outside of the Williams, up inside the top 10 for the first time in this sprint race then. And now it might be a question of just waiting for the DRS zone to try and see if we can get the jump on Alonso towards the line. Oh, looks like Fernando's bolted, though, at these final couple of corners, so I think he was a bit stuck behind the Williams as well here, unless we can get a mega run at the final couple of turns, which it doesn't look like we will. We might come under pressure again from Alex Albon behind there. It looks like Charles Leclerc is going to have a dominant sprint race victory here in Baku. It looks like one of the Red Bulls is going to pit Carlos Sainz on the run to the line, but we are going to come through under pressure from Albon, but it's only P10. Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc, race victor here in the Azerbaijan sprint, but it was Perez that got the jump on Carlos Sainz on the run towards the checkered flag there. Verstappen almost lost out to Lando Norris as well. But yeah, first time we haven't scored points this season, but a pretty decent recovery from 13th on the grid there. Should give us a good chance as we jump into the race itself. 1 point now between our top 2, as well as between George Russell and Charles Leclerc. But let's get into the main event here from Baku.
A warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners, and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. The Baku city circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers and is made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequence for any one of our drivers. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Russell, Verstappen, Norris, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Lewis, Albon, Tsunoda, Stroll, Bottas, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Joe, Sargent, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And Anthony Davidson joins us for this one. And great to have your company. There's no weather to worry about here. What will be going through the drivers' minds as they finish these last-minute preparations?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Well, here we are then, trackside once more for the Azerbaijan GP proper. Fernando Alonso actually taking some grid penalties there, as well as Daniel Ricciardo. So we've been bumped up the order slightly into P9. We're going to try and go over the alternate strategy today, see if that can bring us some good luck. And yeah, let me know down in the comments below where you think we're going to finish this one. 18 more laps coming up from the Azerbaijan GP. Starting in ninth, looks like we've got a whole mix of tyre strategy. 5 red lights. A mighty long hole, but it is lights out, and away we go there. Very, very careful not to stall off the line as we almost go into the back of Oscar Piastri down at turn 1. No, we're ready to go through that first corner, but we're going to make it 3 wide in towards turn 2. That little bit of wheel banging with the Australian as we try and get off the corner. It was Esteban Ocon that was on the outside of the pair of us there out of the first turn, but are we going to be able to try and find any kind of avenue down in towards turn 3 there? This really goes to showcase just how scary Baku is at the start of a GP. Yeah, no room for error. Everyone is all so tightly bunched in. They're trying to keep it clean and tidy. It's always impressive that as many drivers as they do manage to make it through the first couple of corners here in Baku. But yeah, settling down then, no places gained off the start today, unlike in the sprint race. But looks like it is still Charles Leclerc that leads at the front. Ooh, Oscar Piastri there just ran a little bit wide through turn 8 before we went in through the castle section. We were lucky that he was able to get the power down and didn't dilly-dally around too much there. That could have been quite a scary moment, but yeah, trying to just settle in early on in this race. It looks like Piastri is starting to struggle a bit on those hard tyres. Of course, take a lot more work to build up the temperature, as that corner is never not scary. But yeah, as we make our way through and towards the final couple of corners, can we try and get a run on the Australia before the DRS is enabled? Would like to try and get within the range of Esteban Ocon ASAP. So nice tidy run out of the final corner. We think about going right, we have to go to the left, but look at that! Oscar Piastri just using a bit of his battery there, so we'll have to try and get back on the overtake as we head back down in towards turn 1. Desperate to stay alongside him as we get down the inside back at turn 1. And we are now through and into P8. Well, I'm hoping I can try and pick up the pieces then against Esteban Ocon as we come towards the end of lap 3. Fingers crossed this can be a nice, easy overtake. I was planning on trying to get round him in the sprint race yesterday, so we don't have to worry about it. Just look at that, Ocon desperate to try and hold on to the inside line. But once that DRS is enabled, it's like an extra gear in the car there. Back down at turn 1 though. Esteban is not going to give up on it. We'll give him plenty of room on the inside, but we should be able to get the switch. And we'll be up and into P7 then as we start lap 4. However, 3-second gap up to Lando Norris in front. But that front group looked to have stayed pretty bunched up. Yellow's out. Someone's got issues. I believe that might be a car behind. Yep, Nico Hulkenberg then.
Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring.
Hulkenberg then our first casualty of the day. And that's a disappointment for Haas here.
Okay, information on Verstappen. They seem to have an issue.
Ooh, okay, so Max Verstappen then might be struggling in this GP. Still our championship leader, but that could drag both him and Lando Norris back into my clutches. We can immediately see Lando trying to get around the outside of the Dutchman. As we get to 1/3 distance this afternoon, could Verstappen be about to drop back rather dramatically?
4.0 seconds.
Not far behind George either. Sprint race was a pretty big disappointment, but we're not far away from a good result.
Behind started to drop back. There's a gap beginning to form. Let's make the most of it.
And look how much that gap has come down then to to Max Verstappen even. So we make our way out of the final corner. Want to try and get inside that DRS range now, and hopefully be past him before we make our way back through the middle sector, just because we could lose a lot of time. We need to try and get a good run out of turn 2, then see if we can close in on the Dutchman here. Like I said, this is where I want to make the move, just so we can try and spring ourselves a bit closer to Lando in front. Max Verstappen, he might have issues, but he's not going to make it easy for me. As we go late on the brakes there. Get clean around the outside though. Team loving that as well. But yeah, that was a big overtake. Well, I'm intrigued to see when we start seeing the soft compound runners into the pit lane. My goal was try to get to the end of lap 10 before we decided to go the other way. But now in the wheel tracks of Lando Norris, it's going to be interesting as well to see how that McLaren compares down the straights. Yeah, these medium tyres are working really well at the moment, as Verstappen then, one of the first cars into the pit lane today. Can we try and get a run on Lando though, as we make our way at the first couple of corners? I think we might be a bit too far back here. We're still gaining in though on the McLaren driver, but yeah, not close enough that time to really go for anything. Try and see if we can hang close though through the next couple of turns. As yeah, I mean, Perez and Leclerc battling at the front, but Carlos Sainz is right there in the final podium place. Right, are we going to see Norris into the pit lane then at the end of this lap? Are we going to see any of our other front runners into the pit lane then? I'm really hoping that George Russell is. Otherwise, we could be in a bit of trouble when it comes to strategy later on then. But to the inside of Lando Norris will go. Luckily for us, George Russell is peeling in. So has Sergio Perez. So both Ferraris trying to go a bit longer. As Lando there tries to keep it right the way around the outside. But yeah, we are going to be peeling into the pits then at the end of this lap. And up into P3 momentarily. Well, there might be an opportunity to undercut Carlos Sainz here if Charles Leclerc opts for the first pit stop, because Ferrari, one of the only teams that have not boxed either of their cars so far this afternoon. But as we make our way down into the pit lane then, Charles Leclerc is coming in, so we're going to have to be on our absolute top game when we make our way out of the pit lane here. See if we can try and jump Carlos Sainz, as very conservative on pit lane entry. Lando Norris right on my gearbox, so whether the McLaren will get the jump on me, we'll have to wait and see. Nice tidy stop. Looks like Charles Leclerc then is up to the lead of the GP. But yeah, heading out of the pits then. We've still got, I think that's Pierre Gasly just coming back out behind us. But yeah, now we've got a race on our hands. 5 seconds to George. Oh, VSC. No. Well, that works fantastically for Carlos Sainz. No idea who's at an instant, but yeah, Carlos Sainz though, the big winner in all of this by extending that stint one extra lap. Will he potentially now stay out ahead of me. We've definitely lost a couple of seconds under the window. And yes, he has. So Carlos Sainz then has gained massively in this. Well, we certainly lost out under that virtual safety car. The gap to Carlos Sainz now up towards 3 seconds. So effectively, any advantage I gained from the undercut immediately evaporated. Charles Leclerc, though, back to the front of the field. But I guess my only hope is that Sainz and Russell have a bit of a battle. Oh, there we go. New fast lap of the day. That's what we like to see. Took 3/10 out of Carlos there. And 1.3 out of George. Oh, there we go. Sainz now inside the DRS range of George. So we've got to hope that George can just get his elbows out for a lap or two. Taking a lot of time still out of my teammate. Well, I think we are the quickest car in this group at the moment. Zhou Guanyu now has fallen to the wayside late on in the day. But here goes Carlos Sainz to the outside of George Russell. Has to slot back in and might not complete the move. He just about gets the move done before they head into that yellow flag zone. So that is a really painful moment for George Russell. But really, yeah, we're taking a lot of time out of all 4 cars in front of me. So many braking zones and so many big traction zones here. The tyres really do get a proper workout. But as we make our way out onto the front straight, we've got 2 more laps to go here from Baku. Will George Russell, I think he's just about stay within the range of Carlos Sainz in front of him. So this might make trying to get a run incredibly difficult on my teammate here. But yeah, Perez and Leclerc are both really dropping back in towards our clutches there. George Russell definitely running quicker than that top 2. Could Sainz and I still be a threat for the win? I think we've got to try and get a run though on George if we want any chance of fighting for more than this. Our teammate's going to go defensive. You would like to think the team would tell him to get out of the way. And we'll go right around the outside there of George Russell. Now let's try and stick with Sainz. As you can see, Perez only 2 seconds up the road. Well, I wish we had this kind of confidence in the car at the start of the weekend, because we are absolutely flying at the moment, making our way out of the final couple of corners. I'm going to try and save the battery to see if we can get a run on Sergio Perez next time round. But there is Carlos Sainz, and hopefully we can try and slip our way past the Ferrari on the run back down in towards turn 1. Oh, a little bit late there on the brakes. Sainz will try and come back at me, but we'll get the power down. And we are now up into the podium. Can we lock down our first podium of the year? Or can we try and get just a little bit more? Or making our way down in towards the final few corners, then I think Sergio Perez has just about got enough to hang on to that P2. And with that, will retake the lead of the Drivers' World Championship here. Charles Leclerc, though, is going to have a perfect weekend here in Baku. Pole position, sprint race victory, and the real race as well. Charles Leclerc has been unstoppable this weekend. But from 10th on the grid, we will absolutely take our first podium of the campaign.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit, familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again. And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Sergio Perez is now our points leader in the Drivers' Championship thanks to his performance today. After an incredible day of racing, Who was your driver of the day, Anne?
Charles Leclerc showed exactly how to manage yourself out on the track today. He was almost flawless out there. Incredible stuff.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, there we are then. Charles Leclerc, an absolutely emphatic victory once more here in Azerbaijan. But we will absolutely take another fastest lap bonus point there. They might come in handy later on in the season. But yeah, Verstappen with an absolute nightmare of a GP in the end. A really, really disappointing weekend on the whole for the Dutchman there. Scored less points than Esteban Ocon. But it does mean championship-wise, not only has Perez retaken the lead at the top, but Charles Leclerc has jumped Max Verstappen as well there and is now into P2. We're still in 6th place, but we are taking points out of Carlos Sainz and George Russell at the moment then, so I certainly think we could be in the fight later on in the season. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very, very soon when we head to Miami.